Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Legal Bites, I have to remember the name, with the Lawyering Dietitian. Who is that? That's me. Hello. My name is Dennie, and I am an attorney and a registered dietitian or registered dietitian nutritionist, okay? I prefer registered dietitian nutritionist, kind of mainly because I feel like most people really know the word nutritionist. I mean, it's a longer word, whatever. They're the same thing, they're interchangeable. But a nutritionist is not interchangeable with registered dietitian. I have another video on that where I break that down. So I'll put it in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. I teased this series, I think like 2 months ago now. And I took June off, and then that ended up, and when I say off, I mean like off from like YouTube, and like social media stuff. Like I was still working, I was still doing stuff. But, and then June turned into July, and then today, actually, I was in church. I was watching church online. I go between Elizabeth Baptist Church in Atlanta, because I used to live in Atlanta. Shout out to Clark, Atlanta. And I also lived in Chicago, which is where I got my law degree at Northwestern. New Life Covenant Church. So Elizabeth Baptist is with Pastor Craig Oliver, and then New Life Covenant Church in Chicago with Pastor John Hanna. So depending on what time I catch church, they're at different times. Anyway, so I was watching church today with Pastor Craig Oliver in Atlanta, and the message was so good. You know, like, I'm gonna keep it real. Sometimes I be in church, I'm like, this does not apply to me. And not like in a bad way or shady way or anything like that, but I'm like, this doesn't really apply to me. Today, baby, he did his big one. Like, I'm going to rewatch it. Like, that's how good it was. It was so good today. I'm gonna even drop the link in my description because it was so good. But basically, he was talking about a variety of things, like living life in abundance and, you know, living a life of expectancy, but also obviously gratitude because, you know, we don't want to be entitled. That's the word he used. You know, we don't want to live a life of entitlement, but a life of expectancy. Paraphrasing. But he did use the word entitlement, and he gave some examples about what he meant with that. But part of living the life of expectancy, to me, I'll just go by how I took the sermon, and then we're gonna get into the topic. But it's all connected. Stay with me. Is that we should expect good things. We should expect good things to happen to us. We should expect to not live a life of struggle. We should expect to, you know, be happy. However, with that comes a responsibility. I have my balcony door open by the darn train. But to whom much is given, much is required, right? We've all heard that saying before. However, it made me think today was like, okay, Denny, you need to do your first series. And the reason why, or the first episode of the series. And the reason why is because I feel like I am an anomaly. You know, he said I'm gonna talk my ish, you know? And I was given the opportunity to go to college, to get a degree beyond my bachelor's, and then to get another degree. And, you know, there are a lot of people who can't afford to go to college or have to drop out for whatever reason. And the fact that God granted me the opportunity to get 3 degrees, I have to give back. And so, you know, I look at so many other people and what they're doing, and I admire their strengths and their talents. But me, like, thinking about me, I'm like, my strength, my talent is advocacy. Listen, baby, I could argue down if I need to, okay? And, you know, I could turn it on and off, but I just think that, you know, while I admire other people and their strengths, I know that other people admire the strengths that I have in me. And just even having my advocacy background and then my dietitian background, putting both of those together is going to be like amazing, which is why I want to start this series. So to get into today's topic, and again, how everything kind of goes together, if you missed like my intro/teaser video, I wanted to start this series to give advice and like free advice to people who may be going through a situation that's either legal related or legal and dietitian related or dietitian related. And I think this is important because, quick detour, but baby, when I tell you I'm booked and busy, okay, like I have to check my calendar daily just to kind of see like what's going on, what clients I have to see. I still work my 9 to 5 lawyer job, so like when people ask me what do you do, I have to tell them, yes, I am a registered dietitian and I am an attorney. Like I get paid from doing both things. And number one, that makes me very busy, but I just see like working with my clients, a lot of them want to lose weight, and so I work with them personally to figure out how to get to their weight loss goal. But there's other things that people want to do. Some people, they just want to know like how to eat better, how to, when I go to the grocery store, they're like, I get there and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to pick. And asking clients their goals, I make sure that I'm sending them resources like, okay, I would love to work with you for forever, but my goal is to give you the tools and resources to get you to achieve your goals so you can fly like a bird, right? So I say that to say it's just beautiful for me to see clients who, I had a client session today and I started meeting with him in June, and so periodically I review everyone's progress in our sessions, and I was like, you've lost 10 pounds already. Like, yeah, we might have talked about it and I gave you some tools, but like you did this, like you were the one who implemented. I'm trying to preach, you know what I'm saying? Lord have mercy. But you took the tools that I gave you and you implemented them, and already in 2 months you're so much farther than you would have been like just not trying, just if you would have given up. So I just have so many clients who just have different success stories that's not even necessarily tied to weight loss, but just maybe how they feel, their relationship with food. And I just love to be a part of that journey. So anyway, so to today's topic, I wanted to talk about, and I be having real clients, y'all. So I have a client who I was given, I'm not gonna say her name, but I was given permission to share her story, where she was pregnant because she's given birth since to a beautiful baby boy. And so she was pregnant and she was, telling me how she was having trouble with her job, and she the job wanted her to come in 3 days a week. But she was experiencing some pregnancy-related complications like preeclampsia, and it just would have been difficult for her to go into the office. And I think I'm not a mommy yet. But I see what my friends, I see what my mama, I see what people go through during pregnancy, and pregnancy ain't no joke. And I think especially, with like Black maternal health and just like Black women in general, like we don't have to push through everything, right? And so this particular message is for my Black women, but we don't have to push through everything. If, you're like, okay, I can push through this, I have this diagnosis that's not necessarily 100% limiting, but like I can still do my job from home, right? I don't think we should have to push through, because especially with pregnancy, delivery, just like things can escalate so quickly. So when she was telling me all this, I was telling her like, hey, why don't you request a reasonable accommodation? And so there's different laws in different states that provide different types of protections. Like you have the federal ones that all states must adhere to, and then you have state-specific ones. So New York, for example, we have paid family leave. And so I'm licensed, I should jump in here. I am licensed to practice law in New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. So just with that caveat. I don't know all the laws of all states, but I do know that New York has paid family leave. As far as federal laws, we also have FMLA, which is unpaid paid family leave in New York. The state specific is paid. It's just a percentage of your salary or income. Federal, we have the FMLA, and then some people may, so this is pregnancy related, but some pregnant women may qualify under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, for if they're experiencing a pregnancy related complication to get an accommodation under the ADA. Hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if it doesn't, I will clarify. But basically the reason why it's important for you to know of what resources you have available or what laws you have available, because number one, Trump's trying to take everything from us, number one. But number two, there are different requirements for different laws. So that's why it's important to like kind of know the distinctions and what state specific protections you have in addition to the federal regulations, because like, for example, some things that you'll need to qualify is like how many employees the employer has, how long you've been working there, and again, whether it's paid or unpaid, whether you can use certain ones together consecutively or not. For going back to our case study here, for this particular client, she had preeclampsia. And preeclampsia is a pregnancy related medical condition that is basically high blood pressure, which can affect the mother and the unborn baby. There are some other things, you know, I am a registered dietitian, I'm not a doctor. So this is not medical advice. And I'm also not giving you specific legal advice. I should add that in here too. But just generally, that's what preeclampsia is, her blood pressure. She was having a difficult time regulating her blood pressure. So going back to her, you know, needing to travel to work, I was just like, why don't you just request, you know, a reasonable accommodation? Because her job previously, she only had to go into the office once a month. So she was like, once a month, cool. But like 3 times a week, no. And so when her preeclampsia didn't start until her 3rd trimester. So she only had a few weeks left. So I was like, I think you should request a reasonable accommodation and, you know, see what they say. Y'all, she came back and they said no. They were just like, oh, we think that you working in the office 3 days a week is enough. And they knew she was pregnant, so that was disclosed. And she had like a specific like portal or whatever where she was able to make this request. So I was just like, that's not how that's gonna work. That's illegal. Like they have to, so a job is supposed to work with you to try to see if there is a reasonable accommodation, right? That could be made. That's what the request is for. Like, hey, I can do the job still with this accommodation. That's what that request is basically saying. So in her case, she's like, hey, I can still do the job. We were working where I only have to come in once a month. Can I do that until, you know, I give birth? And then when I come back, I could come back in, you know, 3 days a week per the company's policy. And when they said no, they couldn't just say no. So that's why I stepped in. And I wrote a letter on her behalf as her registered dietitian and her attorney. And I was just like, hey, so my client has this pregnancy related condition. You know, I don't remember at the time if she had sent in documentation, but I was like, if you need documentation of it, that's fine. She's requested a reasonable accommodation. Per the company's previous policy, you know, she was working from home, where she only had to come in 1 day a week, 1 day a month, and now she's requesting that same accommodation until she gives birth, and then, like I just said, she could come back per the company's new policy once she gives birth. And you know, my understanding is that her request was denied, and I don't think it was like a formal denial either. I think it was like the boss just like sent her an email, like they didn't reply to the request. And so, and I was like, if you are going to deny this request, please outline how this is an undue hardship on your company's operations. Like, what do you, like, you know, a lot of companies now, I know they want everyone back in the office. You know, the joke is so the CEOs could sleep with the HR people. You know, that's not the, I didn't come up with that, but I thought that was funny. But I was just like, yeah, no, you cannot do that. So please, you know, I'm seeing her under my care as her registered dietitian, so I can confirm these diagnoses, but also as her attorney, you can't do that. So, you know, what's up? And that letter was sufficient for them to grant her the reasonable accommodation. So sometimes you really just need someone to step in and be like, I'm not playing with y'all. Like, what are you doing? And this was a major company, like international. I was like, no, what's going on? So, so luckily she had someone like me who could come in and, you know, and speak to what she was going through. You know, me seeing her kind of just because we were working on ways to like help kind of keep her blood pressure under control. But I also knew the law and that under the ADA, if you're going to deny it. So there's also a process called an interactive process where basically the employer and the employee, they're supposed to work together. So that might have been like, hey, you know, we really, I don't know, let's say I'm making all of this up, but just an example. Let's say, you know, now we need you to meet with clients once a week. So instead of once a month, can you come in once a week? And maybe, you know, for her at the time, maybe that would have been doable. But for them to say that and then again, if that wasn't doable for her, they would still have to explain how that would have caused an undue hardship on their company's, you know, operation. So it's like, could you have her supervisor do it? Could they meet virtually? Why does it have to be in the office? Like, again, the burden is undue hardship. So like, for example, an undue hardship on a company's operations may be if you are, I would say like a teller, and then like as a teller, I used to work as a teller. I don't think I could have worked remotely. Maybe if I was like in a managerial capacity, maybe, but like you have to be in the bank. You have to be in the bank to do the work. So that's an example where a job could say like, hey, we're already, you know, down to tellers. You know, it wouldn't be reasonable for us to, or it would be an undue hardship if we were to allow you to work from home, because then you can't do your job. Like you wouldn't be able to do what we would need you to do. So sometimes they may, you know, if a job is really trying to work with you in this interactive process, they may like have you do something else. So, you know, there's things that could be done. But regardless, there is that process that's supposed to take place where people, you know, the employer and the employee could come to some type of resolution. If they can't, then they need to document why it's an undue hardship. So that's kind of my first tip for the first series. I just wanted to talk about that in case that's something that maybe you're going through, maybe someone you know is going through. And again, this series is about giving you guys free like tips and tricks. And then if you are someone who is interested, again, I'm not giving anyone specific legal or you know, nutrition advice, but if you wanted to schedule a consultation, that could be done on my website, the Lawyering Dietitian. Did I even give y'all my name? I don't know. My name is Dennie, and I'm the lawyering. My name is Dennie, and I am the Lawyering Dietitian. Lord Jesus. But yes, if you want to work with me, I have my website. It has my rate sheet on there. I would love to help you out if I'm able to be of assistance. Again, I'm only licensed in New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. So I wouldn't be able to represent you as your attorney, but if you do become my client and something happens, I can, still advocate for you as your dietitian. So I just want to put that out there. I hope this information was useful. If there's anything else that you want to know about, let me know. I'm also putting in the description box like different laws that you could kind of look up as far as like the FMLA, the ADA, there's also a Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, PWFA. There is, like I said, in New York, you have paid family leave. So there are different options that you could look into to see if you qualify, to see if your employer qualifies to be able to get that. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to make it out here. And, bringing a child into this world is a beautiful thing. Not everyone can do it. And, as I kind of touched on a tad earlier, like the Black maternal mortality rate is too high. And so I really want women, especially Black women, to have access to this information so they know what to do and how to advocate for themselves. That's really important for me to be able to pass along this information to you, so you kind of know what to do. So even if you don't work with me, this is something you could also, you know, advocate for yourself, because I'm not, I think there's a lot of things that you can do pro se or like on your own by yourself. But sometimes we just need to know it's out there to be able to ask for it and advocate for it for ourselves. So I hope this video was useful. Videos will be dropping Sundays. I think Sunday is a good day for me. Like I'm relaxed today. I had my fun Friday and Saturday, and now I'm like, okay, let me reset. The sun is out, the sun is shining. I'm just resetting for the week. So I think Sunday's a good day for me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week. And then also, if there are specific topics that you want to know about, I would love to cover them. So please let me know. I want to know what y'all want to listen to. I want to know what y'all want to learn about. So yeah, so just let me know and we can cover that. Episodes will be dropping every Sunday, weekly, and yeah. Oh, also follow me on the socials. I do have a new business venture that I'm working on. I haven't teased it yet because I just want to launch. So I'm hoping to launch in the next month or so. So stay tuned. I probably will announce it here so you could know what's going on. Yeah. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next week.